Man, Dave, we have a lot of cool
a lot of neat stuff
here at the Parts View workbench for the rigs and techniques. So let's just talk about flounders.
Well, they're very popular. A lot of flounders in Texas, so they're great fish to target, especially in the fall and the spring. In the fall, they move up into shallow water to eat, and in the spring they spawn. So right now, is this coming up here pretty quickly is going to be a great time to target these fish because they're going to move up all into the shallow areas. Galveston Bay, Port Aransas, Corpus Christi, the Laguna Madre system is a great place. Matagorda Bay and Sabine Lake, they're all great places to target these fish. If you're not close to the bottom, you're not going to be catching flounder.
Right.
You know, they're a flat fish. They lay on the bottom. They have two eyeballs on one side of their head, so they're always looking up, waiting for something to come to them. A good place to target these fish would be around any kind of seawall. They like to put their head right up against the seawall and get fish that are swimming along down the sides.
Okay.
Docks, pilings. You can fish right on top of a piling and catch one, go down to a piling, catch another one. I mean, they like to hang around structure. Right. As well, and they like to be out, you know, if they can get out of the current, they'll be out of the current, but if they can't, they really don't care because they're flat, laying on the ground. You know, they're going to be around those sandy or muddy areas where they can lift that stuff up and let it fall back down on them, so the only thing that's sticking up is their eyeballs.
Right.
And as soon as something that comes by pretty close to the bottom is when they jet up off the bottom, using their whole body to propel themselves up and nail stuff. So anytime you can find that good current moving, you're gonna find them. This is a gulp rig. It's a single rig. You know, a lot of guys will use a double rig, but there's this fellow named Cody, Captain Cody, who I watched a video today of, and this is his favorite flounder rig here with a gulp shrimp or even a gulp paddle tail, even a hooked, you know, you can either hook them like wacky rig,
right,
or just drag the shrimp along the bottom, keeping your weight, you know, close to the bottom. You want this to be about 6 to 8 inches.
Right.
Your weight branch. He ties the hook on a straight hook usually with a Palomar. This hook here is one with a keeper on it.
Right.
You know, the 4/0. You know what number?
That's a laser sharp.
Yeah, it's the flipping hook. And what he does is he'll put that. Any hook with a keeper, a straight shank hook with a keeper will work.
Right.
But you bounce that rig along the bottom, and boom, they'll nail that shrimp. Or you can put anything on there. Actually, you can put a paddle tail, any of the gulps, other shrimps, the turbo shrimps. The new mullet that we're going to be talking about in new products is a great thing to use. And you're going to be using this. I got orange on here, but you're going to use fluorocarbon, and it's really easy to make this rig. All he does is he ties a nice little double hook. I mean a double loop pretty close to the end of the line.
Uh-huh.
And that's going to be where he puts his hook.
Right.
So you just put a double loop, put your hook on there on the double loop, and then you tie your weight at the bottom. Put a swivel at this other end.
Uh-huh.
I also have one with a kale hook on it. You know,
I see this here.
Because a kale hook works just as well. You know, you can put live mud minnows on there. A mullet works really great. A shrimp. You know, these flounders love shrimp. You know, anytime they can get a hold of a shrimp, they'll love to eat it. And you can use that kind of rig or a Carolina rig, or even a fish finder rig where the weight's just bouncing right on the hook.
Now, is there a specific rod, or what's the light for, Dave?
Well, if you can gig flounder.
Right.
So it's legal to gig flounder. You can get up to 5. They have to be 15 inches, just like if you're angling for them.
Right.
But you get up in the shallow waters this time of year when those flounder are up in that shallow water, and you just drift by with some lights. You know, a lot of them guys will have these hooked up to their boat, but with this one, you can actually hold on to it and walk. You can wade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a wading one. That's why it's got a handle on it.
So you're going to put the battery in a little backpack, which
put it on a backpack.
Battery would work really well for this.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to create a wire for it.
Yeah. What also works good are the little feeder batteries.
Yeah.
For a deer feeder.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put that. You got the same. That's what these hookups are made for.
I know
so
that
you put that in your backpack and just walk along with this thing, and with a gig in one hand and this in the other, and you just gig them right behind the head. You got to make sure when you're gigging a flounder, you try to get right behind his head and go all the way through to the ground.
Right.
And you want it to be sideways to the, if his head's pointing this way, you want to come in sideways, right behind his head, and go all the way into the ground. That way he shouldn't be. Let him kick around for a second. Don't try to whip him up there just immediately. Let him play himself out a little bit, and then pop him up into the boat.
And by going through him, it keeps him from wiggling off
Correct.
because of the barbs.
Correct. And in any of these, this Pen 4 combos are great. This nice Veritas, the Abu Garcia, the inshore reel, which I just started using, which is an awesome reel for
Well, we
this.
can't wait to talk about
Well,
that.
last time I went fishing with Dave, you had a nice one off the dock.
Yes,
Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a good one.